If you've been reading manga for some time, you must have noticed a slow shift in narrative style, with a very clear tendency.
Inu Asano went from gut-wrenching to bittersweet to kinda sad. Even Urasawa, master of slow burn intros, chose straightforward and simple in Asadora. These mangakas are consciously making efforts to make their work more accessible. But there's one who came after them who, in my opinion, has taken it to the next level. His works are just pure fun, effortlessly readable but still deep, still packed with that manga weirdness. A story so straightforward, so effective that can make you laugh in a horror scene. But before we dive into what's so special about it, let's take a step back and discover who is this man who is reinventing shonen. This is the Yukinobu Tatsu effect. Born in Saitama Prefecture 1985, there's barely any info on his childhood. Dude's practically a ghost. The only picture of him floating around is a tiny JPEG where he's rocking a mask.
And just like he hides his face, he started out hiding his name too under the pseudonym of Yukinobu Ryo.
He put out a couple of books while grinding as an assistant for Fujimoto, the creator of Chainsaw Man, and Yuji Kaku, creator of Hell's Paradise. You can say many of the building blocks that made Dandadan are present in his early works, but one ingredient that truly sets Tatsu apart from other mangaka is totally missing. Instead of just spelling it out for you, let's take a trip through his early works and see if you can catch it yourself. His first book, at least the first that I could find, was Seigi no Rokugou, launched in 2010. This book tells the story of an otaku who is a shut-in, skipping school to stay at his computer.
Impossible to relate. Hey, don't show that.
But there is one thing that keeps pulling him back to reality. A girl with bright hair who passes by his window. She stands out, almost like she doesn't belong in the same boring world he's stuck in. After that, his older brother, who is a policeman, tries to get him out of his room by giving him a mysterious machine that could turn him into a hero. Once the brother leaves, the machine springs to life, transforming into a tiny chibi-like mascot, who claims his task is to protect world peace. Just looking at this guy, you can tell that there's some similarities between this chibi robot and the little cat from Dandadan, and they serve almost the same purpose, a tiny mascot with insight into the supernatural, that serves both as a comic relief and a source of wisdom to the protagonist. Immediately after waking up, the little robot hears from the news reports that a crime is being taking place nearby. He then urges our shut-in hero to step up, but of course he refuses, until the little guy takes matter into his own hands and jumps into the protagonist's legs, transforming into a propeller and then launching him into action. We then discover that the crime is being taken place in school and people from the classroom were made hostages. And among these hostages is the pretty girl from earlier. The criminals are of course asking for money to release the hostages, but policemen aren't giving in to their demands. They then take the girl and threaten to unalive her. But even though she's in a scary situation, she doesn't seem to panic. That's when our hero graciously arrives.
Bro broke every single bone in his body.
After the impact, it seems that the girl has been saved, but one of the criminals gets out of the shadows with a gun and shoots her right in front of our boys. He tries to run away, but gets into a corner, and after the shock, he enters a state of denial, claiming that everything must be a dream or a hallucination. In that moment, the little robot becomes the voice of wisdom and snaps him back into reality. Realizing that what just happened was in fact real, he becomes super angry and fuses with a robot once again, now fully formed into a robot boy. Then he shoots a large death ray that destroys everything in a general direction. Needless to say, the criminals instantly give up and throw away their weapons, laying on the ground unconscious from the shock. They later check in on the girl and realize that the shot was just a scratch, as policemen storm the building to save the hostages. That's when they quickly run away to avoid interrogation. We then skip into the boy's room and the robot is complimenting the boy for putting others before himself. He replies that he only did it because it was that particular girl he liked, and after he finds out that the girl is from his school, he immediately decides that going to school might be a good idea. This small story only lasts for 2 chapters and I couldn't really find the second one to read anywhere. Please leave in the comments if you know it somewhere that I could read. But it gives a good idea where Yukinobu Tatsu wanted to go with his story. A relatable nerd, the funny mascot with insights, the tough-looking love interest, and over-the-top battle scenes. This could as well be the Proto Dandadan. Sadly, it was not well received by the critics and never really got serialized.
His next book, named Fireball,
Launched in 2013,
seems to be the most successful of his mangas prior to Dandadan, but sadly, it's only available in Japan. If I manage to get a copy someday, I'll make a video about it, okay?
Same thing for his next book. In 2015, he launched Kamisama no Iru Machi. This time around I managed to find a scan, but it was in a language that I don't have idea which one is it. Yeah, that's not happening.
Well, at least we can see the pictures. The story seems to be about a giant city in the middle of the ocean. The main character is this construction worker who seems to be in charge of the integrity of the city, but constant earthquakes and all sorts of monsters starts to screw him up. His partner, who is a woman with wings, is somehow connected to the appearance of the monsters as she feels pain right before they arrive. We follow their struggles, the man in his work being unsuccessful because of the constant earthquakes, and the woman taking care of the house. After a major setback in construction, the man is humiliated and feels as if he's not suited to take care of his home. This is of course what I'm assuming from their expressions. If you read Thai and I'm completely wrong, please tell me in the comments. And this is a sad moment as both are feeling unworthy of having each other, so naturally the most plausible scene is a motherfucking titan appearing out of nowhere. Jokes aside, the titan was actually somehow manifested because of the woman's feelings, as this seems to be her power or something. Construction workers unite, he decides to fix things. After accidentally he looks inside of his shirt just to see a message from his girlfriend. What does the message say? I was also curious, so I translated using my wizard spells. Cute, right? I guess I'm right about the plot of this manga. I could be a detective or something. Forget that. I was sure that was an ocean, man. Anyway, no thoughts, head empty. They bust into the Titan, kick ass and start climbing. She also helps as her power seems to be control of the monsters like these little rock dudes. They jump, catch each other in the air, and the Titan gets flower tunneled. For maximum satisfaction, right after this chaos, we are presented with the scene of their marriage ceremony. I'm not gonna lie, initially I thought that the stomach pain was hunger or something, but turns out she's just pregnant. The final panel is both of them and the little babu. Look at him. One can only hope that Yukinobu Tatsu gives us the same ending for Dandadan. So yeah, more of the story, family, I guess.
It's about family.
Just kidding. It is a heartfelt story about getting too focused on your work and losing sight of what's important. Self-sabotage and all that good stuff. It just feels a little superficial because it is a one-shot. You can't really make anything deep with such a few panels. But I really like this one, especially after reading for the second time for this video.
In that same year, he launched Renai Saibahou. This book became known because Tatsu's editor forced him to read 100 romance mangas in order to write this one. Maybe he read the previous work and thought, hey, you can't write a romance manga without action. This is actually a book only about romance. The story begins with a couple walking through the forest late at night with shiny mushrooms all around them. We are then revealed that this loving couple actually began fighting after 1 year. And the reason is because the boyfriend became obsessed with growing mushrooms, missing out on dates and overall ignoring his girlfriend. Desperate to get his attention, the girl starts drawing faces on his mushrooms until she accidentally drops the container on the ground. Thinking it was no big deal, she discards the mushrooms on the schoolyard, but the boyfriend immediately finds out and becomes pretty upset about it. Even though he actually doesn't say anything, the girl can see from his expressions that the mushrooms were really important to him. But without being able to de-escalate the situation, she runs away, blaming him for being too absent in the relationship. After this, they stop talking and pretty much act like the relationship is over. But while she was getting manga to cheer herself up, she finds out the mushroom growing book. And although hesitant at first, she brings the book home and tries to grow her own mushrooms.
After many attempts and failures, she starts to realize how time-consuming and difficult growing mushrooms can be, and puts herself onto the boyfriend's shoes, feeling even worse for what she has done for his mushrooms, until finally one day, she manages to grow a single mushroom on the container.
She quickly rushes back to school, but it was summer break and no one was around. But then, her boyfriend appears, and they reconnect over the mushrooms. He then reveals that since they weren't together anymore, he was about to destroy every single mushroom that he grew throughout the year, because his only objective was actually to show her the night from the beginning of the story once again. So the story kinda comes full circle, as the boyfriend was really thinking about her all along, but due to communication issues, the relationship seemed to almost come to an end. It's very funny that her name is Kino, and kinoko in Japanese means mushroom. In the beginning of the story, she's even unsure if the boyfriend only likes her because of her mushroom-shaped hairstyle. This description can also apply to the small segment on Dandadan where Okarun and Momo almost get into a conflict due to communication issues, and that was also quickly resolved.
The last book we'll talk about is Yamada Kiki Ippatsu. This is the book where Yukinobu Tatsu gets really inspired by the popular stuff that he watched when he was a kid. He grew up during a time where Ultraman, Spectreman, Magma Taishi, Jaspion, that kind of shit was popular as fuck. I can't really stress this enough. Giant monster battles was hot stuff for more than 30 years during that period of time. My dad, who lived in the opposite side of the world, used to always tell me about it. He cried during a special episode of Giant Robo, where many of the popular heroes of the time appeared together. This was their equivalent of Endgame, I guess. This book leans heavily more on comedy, focusing on Kiki, a heroine that is in love with her martial arts teacher. Hold on, this face is kind of familiar. Well, anyway, her friends try to help her out by making her wear accessories that could win her teacher's heart. But the hard truth hits when his teacher reveals that he never saw her as a woman, only focusing on protecting mankind from monsters. That's cold, man. So in classic Ultraman fashion, she becomes giant and fights the monsters. But the thing is, she forgot her suit, and she fights wearing a uniform. She struggles because she doesn't want her underwear to be exposed. But then her teacher encourages her by flashing his undies to everyone. What the fuck? He apologizes and tells her that he actually finds her cute, and that he wants to see her underwear too. That manga logic, man. So everyone starts stripping naked to encourage her. That's the most ridiculous power-up I've ever seen. But jokes aside, this has some of the best battle scenes Yukinobu has ever drawn before Dandadan. Shit gets crazy. Every punch is so bombastic. After that, they start dating, but bro is so deaf that he can't even hear her right. Seriously, this guy is just something else. Ojo-sama Desu said 12 days ago, I thought she's a man, crying emoji, okay? After failing 4 times in a row at trying to get serialized, Tatsu was just another broke assistant hustling to make it. He got himself into an artist block, incapable of drawing without a complete story. He shared it on an interview how once he had no money after work and was going back home with an empty stomach. That day, his mentor slipped him 1,000 yen. That would convert to about $6. It's not much, but in Japan was enough to get a plate of stir-fried pork. After hours of hard work, that simple meal felt like a feast. And in that moment he realized the value of small victories. His editor, Shinhei Lin, after making the moving from Jump SQ to Shonen Jump Plus, believed that the defined plot structure was not what Tatsu really needed. Just draw freely, don't overthink it, even if just for a page. That was the advice that Shinhei Lin gave to Tatsu. Sounds pretty basic, right? But for Tatsu that was a breakthrough. By going back to his instincts and drawing things that he truly likes, he fell in love with his craft once again. And that got the ball rolling towards his next book. They embraced a loose creation process by bouncing ideas around in brainstorming sessions, where anything that sounded cool was pretty much accepted into canon. Okarun missing balls, that was literally decided on the spot because it sounded funny. He took a vibe-first approach to storyboarding that came from techniques he saw in Pixar exhibitions,
where the focus was about setting the mood and letting characters exist in a world before diving into the plot mechanics. This was a familiar story to Yoshitoshi Abe that revealed on an interview how initially storyboards were not well received, as he was just drawing the main character in different settings. His editor saw the potential for an immersive world of his drawings and told him to keep going, and that's how Stereo Experiment Lane came to have such an immersive ambience. You might be wondering, what was the missing ingredient that set Dandadan apart from his previous works? For me, even if the characters are simple and the plot moves a little too conveniently, it's easy to let that slide. These are shonen stories after all. The goal is to entertain, keep the momentum going, and hit you with the good stuff fast. But the thing Dandadan incorporated was contrast. The story of the meal he had after working hard, you see that lesson all over his book. In Dandadan, big emotional highs always come with little moments of warmth, like characters grabbing a meal or chilling after big chaos. It's that balance of tension and relief that makes the storytelling hits different. Tatsu didn't just throw action and comedy together. He mastered the art of clashing tones. Inspired by Junji Ito's grotesque humor, he learned how to twist terror into something almost ironic. Plus, the unsettling raw designs inspired by Ultraman created the bizarre energy of his supernatural creatures. At the same time, he threw in shoujo manga's emotional depth to tie characters' conflicts around romance. That's what makes Dandadan hit. That constant push and pull between comfort and chill, romance, and the deeply uncomfortable action horror that keeps you on edge. The numbers really just speak for themselves. By November 2023, it had racked up over 360 million views across online platforms, with its circulation exploding in just over a year, earning a nomination for the prestigious Next Manga Award and pulling fans from all over the world. Mixing horror with humor, he found a way to stand out. You can feel the freedom in every chapter he put out.
Oh shit. Kinda look Russian now. Hoi camarade. So, you thought you could come into my channel and watch my videos? Where do you think you are, huh? Listen closely. You can go around watching videos. I'm a merciful man, so if you subscribe to my channel, I will let this pass. The guy from earlier, he actually was my brother. This is me. This is Rio, the owner of the channel. So you subscribe to the channel. Do I look Russian for this? Or? You subscribe to the channel now, or else death.